Today I'm going to show you how to make this absolutely beautiful blocking board. This one is 12 by 18 inches. The working area is 11 by 17 inches. It'd be great for blocking multiple motifs at a time, and it is far cheaper than anything I have been able to find online as far as a blocking board. Okay, so let me show you what you're going to need to get started. Alright, so what you're going to need to make this blocking board is you're going to need a piece of wood that is at least as big as whatever pieces you are making. So I think I'm probably not ever going to make pieces larger than like 11 inches or so, so I decided to get a piece of wood that was a foot or 12 inches by 18 inches. And that's a pretty common size for a cutting board, so I decided to get a really cute one, little flowers. It's Pioneer Woman brand. And you want to make sure that you get a piece of wood that is thick enough, because you want to drill holes that can go down deep enough to hold this in place. As you can see, I drilled a hole right here that isn't very deep, and it just wobbles around, which isn't going to be very good if you want to block more than one motif at a time. So make sure it's thick. This one is 3/4 of an inch. You might be able to do a 1/2 inch, but I definitely would say not to go thinner than 1/2 inch. But I think it would work better if you had at least this thick, or even an inch would be fantastic. Of course, you don't want it to be too heavy, so whatever you feel like is going to work for you. The next thing you're going to want is you're going to want to order some of these so you can actually use your blocking board. These are stainless steel dowels. These ones are 3mm. I ordered them off of Amazon. I put links in the description for all these things. And you're going to want to have a power drill and a drill bit that is the same size as your dowel. Okay? You're also going to probably want a drill guide to help you keep your holes straight and perpendicular to the board. Again, this will just help it so that you can block more than one motif at a time, and they will all end up being stretched to the same size. For quality control, you do want to have these. I actually just got this one 3D printed at my local library, and it was like 50 cents. You can also buy them on Amazon. They are definitely more expensive than 50 cents. But if you know someone with a 3D printer, that's definitely the cheapest way to go. Another thing you're going to want is some sandpaper, definitely, for after we drill the holes, because you're going to have some wood that's going to catch on your yarn. You're also going to want some tape because you don't want to actually drill through the whole thing. Otherwise, when you pick it up, all your rods will just go straight through the bottom, and then you'll have problems. So make sure that you don't drill all the way through it. As you can see, this looks a lot thicker than my board, and that's because I wanted it to stop at the top of my drill guide. Another big thing that you're going to want is a grid. I found this grid paper. I'll put the link in the description. It's just a free printable grid, and these are 1/2 inch squares. I wanted to have a lot more flexibility, so I wanted to have a 1/2 inch grid so there were more holes. But if you only wanted to do 1 inch holes, then you don't have to drill all of them. You probably could even find a grid that's free and printable online that's just for 1 inch. So next you're going to want to cut out your grid. Once you have that cut out, I needed about 4 for mine, so I cut out 4. Cut out as many as you need for yours. Then tape it to your piece of wood, your cutting board, whatever you have. Make sure that the lines are lining up really well. This took me a really long time, but I really wanted to make sure that the lines lined up well because I didn't want to have half of my board not be on the same grid as the other half. That would have driven me crazy, so I made sure the middle aligned. And then after that, I cut off the excess. I also marked the edges so that I would know where to stop. I realized this really wasn't necessary at all, so don't bother with that. But now we're ready to start drilling holes. So I just lined up my drill guide, and I had to lift it up so that I could make sure that it was going in the right spot. And you just do that over and over again. It took me several hours to do this. I took a few breaks. That's it, about midway through. It makes a big mess with all the wood shavings, so you just need to vacuum a lot. One thing that I did not show, but is really necessary, and I didn't realize this till afterwards, my pegs fit a lot better after I did this. Just turn your cutting board over and just whack it a little bit from the other side of the cutting board, and it'll kind of dislodge a lot of the wood chips that are still in the holes that you made. It surprised me how much was still in there, so definitely do that. But be careful, because your wood is going to be a lot more fragile now that you've put a lot of holes in it. So now you grab your sandpaper and sand it down. It's going to ruin the picture a little bit. You can kind of see the flowers are a bit faded. That gives it kind of a rustic feel though, so I wasn't too bothered. And another thing to be aware of is that if you sand in circular motions, it's going to show up a little bit more. So try to sand in just up and down motions. And there you have it. It's all done. And here I am blocking my 11-inch granny square, and it works perfectly. I can get up to about 8 on this board with these dowels that I got. You probably could get longer dowels or shorter ones, but with these ones in particular, and enough room to leave spaces between them, I could only fit about 8. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you so much for watching.